Good evening, everyone. How's my sound? And here I am. New position. Yeah, I haven't been online for a couple of weeks, I don't think, if not longer. It's good to be back. This evening, I am going to be setting up a new template set in Ableton. I treat myself to a new MacBook M1, MacBook Pro, and I've had to kind of put all of the I've had to set up everything again on that, and it's been a massive faff. And hey, who we got? We got a high key. How you doing? Is it George? How do I sound? Is the mic all right? Because this is a completely new setup. I kind of had to download OBS. It took it and reset up my scenes. My nice camera doesn't work with the Mac Ventura, the latest operating system, but the time had come to kind of transition everything, and I was kind of procrastinating, putting off actually getting back going again, because it was quite overwhelming setting everything up again, and I felt like I just needed to kind of get back on the horse. So I'm streaming from, it's all happening on the one machine now, which should make the experience for all of you a lot more seamless. Thank you. Thanks, Heike. So a better experience for the viewer, better sound. Yeah, man, I've been really impressed with it so far. I haven't put it through its paces kind of production wise or video editing wise, but I did like a test stream earlier on, a kind of an unlisted one, and it seemed to just do a really a good job. And I was kind of feeding the stream back into itself, and it just, my old machine wouldn't have been able to handle that. But of course that comes with the challenge of everything's on this same machine now. So yeah, we'll just see how it holds up. The one thing I can't guarantee is my internet quality, and that is something that in time I will look to upgrade, because I'm on one of those wireless routers, and I just think I need something a bit more stable. So this evening, excuses aside for not being on for a while, and it's been a very busy month and lots of illness going around and stuff like that. It's been pretty hard to kind of find time to stream, let alone make music, which I have actually managed to keep doing. And of course, whenever you get a new laptop, you've got to put all your stuff on it again. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of go through my template set and set everything up and talk through defaults, talk through some things that I use to kind of save time and improve my workflow, which is a term that gets used a lot, but it's definitely applicable here. And yeah, because of course when you download Ableton again, there's nothing set up to the point, I've had to be going through and kind of downloading all my packs again, and there's still way more of these that there's probably a few more that I want to get. But it's also a good time to kind of review what's working and where you can maybe tweak things and make some changes. So that is what I'm going to do this evening. We're gonna talk through some like cool things you can do to kind of make when you load Ableton up, when you load your setup, you've got everything good to go. So I've got let's just talk through what I've got planned. I actually made some notes, which is so kind of at the heart of everything is my APC Mini, and I still use that. And you can't see it in this shot, but I think this is better anyway, because I can keep my face and you can kind of see me the whole time. So I might turn it off when I'm actually recording something, because I'll just be grimacing otherwise. I'll just be pulling embarrassing faces. But there's kind of some things that I want to set up with the APC, because annoyingly, the faders, when they're up at full whack, and you can see it here, you can see it on channel 3, it goes beyond 0, which is, which is okay. You can compensate for it before it hits the fader, but and that is actually what I'm going to do, set it up as a default, because I use the APC all the time, and I can kind of bypass this effect by just putting a utility on. Set up the kind of plugins that I have on the master bus usually. I'm going to keep things quite light, and I think that's something I've learned over time, that I used to have these really elaborate template sets with loads of kind of MIDI routing and loads of weird routing and generative stuff in it. And actually, after a while, I was just like, this is too overwhelming if I just want to throw stuff in and get something going quickly. And I end up deleting most of the things. So it's actually probably better to save those things in your user library in presets, and save them in here, and then you can just drag them in. So you might have like some MIDI generative stuff. You can just drag it in. That's a better way of doing that, I think. The return channels as well, because you just get kind of the stock reverb and delay when you open up Ableton. All of the instruments have defaults when you load them, and I've kind of got the way I like to use things, and certain settings I always have. I probably won't dive too deeply into the defaults, which I use for things like dropping samples onto drum racks, and that is something I would kind of just address in due course as and when I need it, I think. What I've realised is it's not just something that you can just do in one go or in an afternoon. It's something you transition over time, otherwise it's just too much. I've got quite a few of my plugins and stuff that I use all the time, but it's been a good chance to review them and be like, I never use this thing or that thing, so I'm not going to bother downloading it again. Ableton preferences, we can have a look in there. This isn't the most interesting part of Ableton, but it's definitely relevant, and I know when I started, I didn't kind of explore a lot of this stuff for a long time and really understand it. And there's a few kind of things I just wanted to touch on there, which when you get Ableton for the first time, that you might want to consider changing. Default channel types and default device settings as well. So we'll just follow our nose and see how we get along. And then maybe I'll do a jam at the end of it as well, see how we're doing. So yeah, the APC has this it goes beyond 0 on the fader and I do a lot of live jams, and if I'm flicking this up, it goes beyond 0. So the simple hack for kind of getting around that is just a utility with -6. It's -6, not -. And then when I chuck that fader up, it's always going to compensate for that, and we're not going to go above 6 dB or 0 even. So that's all and good. Another thing I'm going to quickly do is I like to have an audio channel set to resample as the default. Mainly because I don't actually record that many real world instruments. I do if I'm resampling from like Google or something like that, then I'll just reset things. It's all right, Ned. How have you found it? I thought that was some kind of joke, actually. Balaton. What is Balaton? It must have autocorrected. Yeah, no, it's like it's flying, and this is like the first live stream I've done in house, and presumably the only issue is the quality of my internet. Okay, so I think it just came with it. Yeah, that's appeared on my other screen. So OBS is running, and I'm watching OBS on my laptop here and then I've got Ableton on my monitor here, so it's a bit of a. It's gonna take a bit of practice to get used to this setup, but practice makes perfect. Yeah, no. Otherwise, I've found everything seems to be working. There was one curious thing with Max, and that was this Casio pack where I think I tried to load in one of these. Yeah, and it gave me this. Casio.amxd contains externals that are not compatible with Apple Silicon. Consider running live under Rosetta. I don't even know what that is. Well, I've heard of it. It's like isn't like a boot camp type thing. Anyway, we'll not get into that. So yeah, so I've got my audio channel here. I've got the audio from to resampling. I'm going to leave everything else as it is. I've got my utility on here so that I know this is going to work with my APC for doing like the fader stuff that I do with it. And I'm just going to right click and save as default audio track. And then whenever I create a new track, boom, that's great. So I am going to let's get rid of this one and let's create a new audio track. Great. Yeah, I don't understand what it is. Rosetta. I know that wasn't the Rosetta Stone discovered as a way of deciphering hieroglyphics. That's about as much as I know about it. And is that where they've got the name? Okay, so the MIDI device. Now this is the thing that I can't like. I've just realised that if I'm going to be putting my utility on here, okay, that sorts that out. Great, we'll do that then. So I'm going to do the same thing on my MIDI device, -6, leave everything else as it is, and we're just going to save as default MIDI track. For a time, I might have had like channel strips and stuff on these, but actually, I kind of like it clear now. I like the less on there because I ended up just deleting stuff as I was going through mixes, or I find it was like it takes up brain space. You know, you're looking through your audio channels. You're like, why is there any key on there? Why is that turned off? Blah blah. You know, it's all just unnecessary stuff hanging about in Ableton. Hey Jesu, is it Yashu? I know I asked you this before. Okay, cool. So yeah, we got those faders set, and that's great. And then when in fact, we're going to boost that. We want that to be full up. Yeah. Okay. -6. Do you know what? In time, I may be like, actually, I don't want to do this either. Yes, I do. Okay, great. Because then I know I can just like pull those down. All right, cool. Let's delete these MIDI tracks and great. Yeah, great, cool, thanks. All right. Now I like just 8. I like just 8 rows of scenes. That's great. Now if you're a bit like me, like the colors trip you out a bit here. Like I don't like them. I mean, so what we could do is MIDI, dush. There we go. Do you ever see people doing like silly things in Ableton that you're like, why are you doing that? That's probably a bit like that. Okay, so that's my default channel setup, and that's particularly like the resampling default, because yeah, it just, you know, the clicks add up, don't they? Mouse clicks add up over time. And a word on the number of channels as well, that are like 2 MIDI channels, 2 audio channels. Since Ableton 11 or 10 or wherever it was that you were able to just you know, chuck things in and they loaded up just into a clear space. I've not felt the need to have preloaded more than 4 preloaded channels because it kind of keeps things uncluttered, and I kind of add tracks as I need them rather than just having empty tracks there that I end up deleting. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do, let's move to the master bus now. I'm going to leave the things on the master bus the same. I'm not going to mess with the reverb, with the return channel defaults, because I don't usually use them with the APC, so with the MIDI controller. But I do have kind of the way I like to configure my reverbs and delays, and that is usually 2 reverbs, 2 delays, but I might go a bit crazy and add a 3rd delay in for now. When I was thinking about doing this, I thought, should I just work with reverb, with the stock reverb devices? But actually, my favorite reverb devices are the Valhalla ones, and I am going to use those instead. So I kind of like I'm going to have a Valhalla room on the first return. And room reverb is something I just use all the time to kind of, add space, and it can, particularly if you've got even just a basic synth patch, it can kind of just liven things up when you're working on it. And I love the Valhalla one. I know I use it on mix downs as well all the time. So I have it in the set ready. I used to have return channels going up to I on the sends, and they had all kinds of like parallel processing stuff on, parallel distortions and parallel limiting of effects, or like bit crush effects and weird effect routing. But actually, in the end, it just was too much. I've kind of liked over time to just really trim it down to the things I need. So on the second one, I'm going to have a vintage verb as well. And I'm actually I'm gonna leave those as they are for now, just stock. So on the delay section, I love echo. So echo is gonna go as my delays. And then also one of my favorites is the Sound Toys, the Echo Boy. There's one particular Echo Boy effect. The Echo Boy's Galaxy, and I love that. So I'm just putting that on here. Mix, dry wet at full. And I found myself just using it on stuff all the time, quite often just chucking it in. And I've got it there, and I can always just flick through presets then with the Echo Boy. It's a really nice delay. So back to I'm leaving the Valhalla room as it is. It's 100% wet. That's great. I can just tweak the decay time depending on my track. I do kind of like the 1980s. Should we go 1980s? Sometimes I get a bit like kind of in the I like to kind of be in the mindset all the time of the music that I'm making. I'm sure lots of people will relate to that. And so, like, if I'm making jungle and stuff, using a 1970s reverb feels like, well, they might have had some like those elitist quad reverbs and all these effects like that. So it feels like maybe the era of the 80s is better. So echo, let's move on to echo now. Let's set up some stuff on this, and I'm actually going to save it as a default preset, whatever I create here. So I might actually play some stuff now. Change the tempo there, that's another important thing. So I tend to, as a lot of my stuff, I'm kind of enjoying making jungle again at the moment, and it feels like the tempo I want things to run at. So let's just pull in an analog. And while we're at it, we'll set up a little default for analog as well. You can set defaults for any device in Ableton. In fact, Ned Rush mentioned doing that as a good time-saving device on my last video that I did about making music when you have no time. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty. That's the stock sound you get with analog. Another thing I want to do actually before I do any of this is put a limiter. A limiter on here. All right, and I like to have mine at -0.1 ceiling. I'll leave the gain on as it is, and I'm going to set this. I'm going to save that as a default too, because if I'm pulling my limiter in on other mixes, it's just there ready to go. I actually really like Isotope's Ozone 8 limiter. That isn't working on Ventura, or I can't, like, I've downloaded it, doesn't seem to be opening, so I don't know what's going on with that. I think that sometimes you're going to butt your head up against these problems all the time, especially as we move through, as technology progresses. There's going to be stuff going in and becoming unusable all the time, particularly in like software world. So the best thing to do is just sidestep it, come back to it, or find a way to work around it. Okay, so we've got the limiter on there now. Okay, I'm just gonna have something a bit more plucky just to demonstrate. In fact, I actually quite like just a single oscillator, and I nearly always have a bit of error, which is great for like kind of adds tuning error to the MIDI note. I mean, that all sounds quite random tuning error applied to each note. I suppose I can hear it. All right, I like that, and it's got a bit of a filter envelope on, which I'm going to turn off, and maybe I'll turn the filter down to like here. What is it like with it on? Okay, double click to reset default, any default. I want the sustain down. And we might want like more of a plucky sound here. Nice, okay. All right, so I'm turning up the send for the echo, so we can hear we've got a reverb. Now that's a room, but it's quite a big room, isn't it? So maybe I do want to change that. I want something a bit tighter. I quite like the Studio Alpha. Nice. What else we got? I must say the latency is actually pretty good on the M1. Ambiences, these are quite nice actually, medium. I like that. That's good. We'll roll with that one then. Valhalla vintage verb. Nice. Perfect. I'll just leave that as it is. Echo. So I've got an eighth note. Dotted. So So I quite like a quarter note. Sometimes it could be cool. Let's run it at the tempo. That could be quite nice for like jungle stuff, like a quarter note dotted. Ping pong? Not ping pong, I just want stereo. Let's move over to the next one. I mean, do I want this as... I think I'm just going to have what it was as the default here. I'm not going to mess around with the default for echo. I do like that though. I think nothing's set in stone, you know. You can always switch it back. And now I'm going to go for a bit of a longer one. I'm going to make these notes. And you can blend them. Nice. I might actually add another echo. Let's do it like 80. I'm going to leave everything else as it is, because I want like one fast and one quite slow as well. That's cool. I tend not to use the triplets too much. Okay, we'll leave that. That's rolling on there, isn't it? Maybe I want to pull this down 75%. You can always up it. And then Echo Boyd's Galaxy is already set. Nice. Lush. Alright, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So we got I'm gonna get rid of analog now, because we're saving a default here, so we need it kind of nice and clean. In fact, we could do that at this point, because I don't think there's anything else in fact, on the master. So on the master, I like to have a utility, because I often adjust the gain kind of pre the master, but any master bus stuff I put on it. I do have standard plugins that I always kind of chuck on, like EQs, compressors, saturators, but I like to keep the set lightweight, as I've said, and not have too many plugins in it, because just that there's kind of no point having them all loaded in if I don't use them, and I'd rather have a master bus preset saved in a rack or something like that. So okay, Yeah, so the utility there, I will leave that as it is, and it's just really handy because often adjusting things pre-fader. I'm then also going to have a spectrum because I find that really useful, just for seeing like the frequency of things. I mean, tuner's even a cool thing you could probably have on there. You know, if you wanted to test out what pitch what you're playing is. I think that is probably it for now. Let's pull this down a bit actually, because I often use this on stream and it's too loud, it's too clicky. And we will leave the send showing because all this stuff obviously loads up when you open it, and I will put myself here. Excellent. And now we're just going to go up and I'm going to save it as a default set. We'll call this like AW default set, and I'll do my reverse date 23/03. We're on the 5th, 4th, 04. And I guess if we did it as a template, it would save it like that anyway, so we're not going to do that. Cool. All right. So now if I open up a new live set, well, hey, we're all sorted. All good to go. Let's move on to... I'm just going to kind of go through the devices here, and we'll just have a look at some of the default things on these that I use all the time. So analog, we've kind of got... We had something set up, I got rid of it, so annoying. Let's try and recreate that, shall we, again. We had like a bit of envelope filter. We had the filter quite low. Maybe here? Maybe we'll turn the resonance up a little bit too. Lovely. Error. I had it 100%, did I? Yeah, why not? Maybe I want a bit more decay. Nice. That's good. I could see myself using that all the time. Vibrato is quite cool. Great for making it kind of like sound analog. Word on polyphony. We've got 8 voices. That's great. I will leave that as it is. Yeah, when you play notes together, you're more likely to hear the error. Yeah, I like that. Got to be careful I don't get lost in making this stuff. Maybe we'll turn this noise down a bit. Just the resonance slightly. Lovely. We'll work with that for now. Save as default preset, and we want to be on the envelope. Cool, we did that right. Great, let's move on. Operator next, because I use that all the time. And like when you load in operator, it loads up as 6 voices, and often I just use it for subs and stuff like that. So, and we'll just drop the chorus down here. Great. Really nice. Turn that frequency up and that resonance down. Cool. Okay. So I'm checking in between screens here because I've got OBS running on the laptop in front of me, and everything else up here. I'm just going to adjust the mic as well because I'm hunching over a bit. That's probably better for my posture. Yada 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 yada. And I can actually hear myself through the microphone as well. Is the sound loud enough, I wonder? It looks... I don't want it to be too loud. I'm right on the mic here, and it's about minus 10 dB with full gain boosted. It's certainly nicer than the cheap lav mic that I had. Definitely. That was terrible. Okay. Got a sub. Let's save this. Save a default preset. The volume's fine. What else do we have? That's a max for live device. Collision, I don't really use it so much. And yeah, so it doesn't really feel like there's any point having a preset. Drum rack, no. I think everything's fine in how that's set up. Drum synth, no. Electric, again, barely use it. Instrument rack, it's really just sampler. Let's look at sampler, yeah. So those things are fine. I'll probably change the velocity, the volume to velocity to 35%. That means when you hit a note, the harder you hit it, the louder it's going to be. I'll leave the voices at 1. And save that as preset. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Save as default preset. Let's pull in simpler now. Let's do the same with this one. I like classic. Turn off loop, turn off snap. Voices, we'll just leave that as it is. Retrigger on, fine. Controls, fine. Velocity 35%. Because if I'm putting breaks or stuff in there, I want to draw in velocity curves in the MIDI. I need that to be in there. Did that work? Turn off loop, turn off snap. Classic mode is fine. Save as default preset. Tension, again, isn't one I use very often. I very rarely see anyone using tension. It's like a string emulation, isn't it? Probably sound alright with some delay. These things sound really good with just like an arpeggiator or something, you know. Great. Tension, no, I don't use that, so wavetable, yes, use that a lot at the moment. And this is fine, I think. Poly's fine. It's got this slight amplitude envelope on it, and I probably want that to be like 0.5 or something, if that. Frequency up. That's fine. All right, that's good. Oh, I probably want high quality mode. We'll turn that on. Save as default preset, which has also reminded me the EQ8 has a high quality mode, and that I am gonna enable as well. EQ8's fine like this, so I'm just gonna have all the bands on. Oversampling, turning that on as well. I don't really understand how it works, but I know it gives you higher quality results. Just doing what I'm told. Glue compressor is another thing I use all the time. Again, that's fine. These settings. I think anything like I'm not going to create any presets necessarily this evening, so I might have for instance, maybe I'll make this one thing. I'll have a side chain on like that. And I will literally just call that like AWE sidechain compressor. Okay, and then I will save that. And I know you may think that's, well, you've just turned on one thing, but there's two mouse clicks involved there, opening the sidechain panel and then selecting sidechain, whereas now I can just throw it on, it's ready to go, and I can just drop down. Yeah. If you're doing a lot of sidechaining in your set, that can really save you time. What else do we have? Delay and loop. I'm kind of happy with these things. Hey, Jumanji. Been a minute. Good to see you. I did think I might see you on, actually. I think, as I say this every time, you probably left the first comment ever on stream in the chat, so it's always comforting when you check in. Drum bass, I nearly always drop the volume on this a little bit, like -5 dB on the out, because it's always loud. I am turning damp up to full, and I'm turning drive down, and everything else is as it is. I'm just going to set this to G0 and save as default preset. Great, sorted that one out. How about dynamic tune's fine. Erosion. Now erosion is one I rarely use on sine. I often use it on wide noise. Again, save as default preset. Overdrive. That's probably fine as it is. Pedal redux saturator. Fine as it is. High quality mode's enabled on that. I wonder if there was anything enabled on the glue compressor. I think that's got oversampling. Yes, because I use glue compressor all the time. It's one of my favourites. One of my favourite compressors. Nice, yeah. I did a so my old MacBook, which is now on the floor over there, which was my main production machine, and I will still use it for live sets and stuff like that because it's got everything on it. And actually, I kind of want to keep my new one as like a fresh machine. But I upgraded the RAM probably about 6 years ago or something. And it worked so much better after that. It still works really well. If you've got an SSD too. Yes, Dungeon Crawler. How are we doing? Dungeon Crawler Audio, the place to go for ambient game role-playing music. If you're into D&D or anything like that. Auto filter. But yeah, Jumanji, safe, mate, safe. Yeah, you'll fly with that machine. Like as soon as you try and do anything with video on older Macs, in my experience it wasn't good on mine. Auto pan, I'll leave that as it is. That's okay. It's good. It's good. Josan, yeah, man. How you doing? All the crew. I've been making a lot of jungle recently and stuff. Been back on the jungle horse, and bit of a break. Had time to reflect on what I want to do, like with the channel in terms of it's getting harder and harder to kind of keep up the daily streams, as is evident in when I last streamed. So I think what's actually more beneficial for people is like, and I've been chatting to patrons about this. Big up to all my patrons. Shout out to everyone who supports me on Patreon. There's a link in the description if you want to find out more about that. I usually have the names to display, but I don't have them on this machine yet. So thank you to all my patrons. But yeah, discussing kind of a format of just like deep dive into one break at a time on stream. I've done it loads of times on stream before, but it's like it's rambling often, and I don't title the video up, and I kind of just do the thing, and it's named something completely different. So I want the channel to grow. I want new people to find it. So that means that I'm gonna try and be a bit more targeted in like one thing that people are always searching for, I can see, is the think break. So if I want to do a stream about the think break completely, sample it, process it, chop it, make it into some packs and stuff, and then edit that video down to be a kind of tutorial style thing, a bit like these are. But yeah, Jumanji, like definitely. That will change your life. Get an SSD for sure. Those like I used to bang my head against the wall with my machine. Like I used to get so frustrated. It would take hours to open anything, even like basic sets. Like, and the SSDs are. Yeah, I got an SSD upgrade in my old, and you can do that in those machines as well. If yours is 2010, for sure. Okay. I really think that's probably enough. So I've done a bit of spring cleaning now and setup. That means, I'm not going to be struggling with this stuff when I open Ableton. I'm just checking back through the notes that I created. APC fader setup done. I'm just going to take them off. APC fader setup, we've done that. Master bus plugins, we've got those. Very basic. Utility limiter and spectrum. Utility is just going to stop it. I could put an EQ and I could put a compressor on there. I'm not going to do that because in the name of cleanliness, really. Master bus plugins. Returns. We've got some returns set up now. And if I feel they're not working, I'll tweak them. But we've got them here. I'm not even going to write what they are, like in terms of style. I'm just going to leave them like this because it's quite fun to just send things and be like, not know quite what you're doing. Returns done. Instrument defaults, we've done those. Preferences, yes, we'll move on to these now. Default channels and default device settings, we've done. So a word on preferences, because this is like, it's pretty dull, isn't it, really? Yeah, I'm Jumanji. My thinking is like just work for all my favourites. Finish up at the Amen maybe, but like Think Break, Soul Pride, Apache, Hot Pants, Funky Drummer, Cold Sweat, Funky Mule, all of them, all of the big ones. Apache, did I say Apache? And sample them from Spotify and process them and then chop them, just as a way in for people who might not know where to get them from, because and also it'd be a nice chance to explore some of the lesser known ones that a lot of like the heads know, but like maybe other people don't, and find a new, and yeah, just find some and put forth some new breaks for people. But yeah, avoiding using like Jungle Warfare. Not amazing, but I think there's more to be learned in sampling the original thing and then twisting it up and stuff. So, okay, preferences. We're just going to go through them tab by tab. Look, feel, language, US English, fine. Don't show again warnings. Yeah, don't want those on. Follow behavior. Scroll, that's fine. Hide labels. No. Permanent scrub areas on. Pen tablet mode, I don't know what that is. Auto assign track colors, yes. Default track color, we'll leave it as that. Clip color, track color, yes please. Reduced automatic. I don't quite know what that does. I'm going to leave it off. Theme, I like the mid dark. Should we just look through the themes? Wow. Blinding. Light is so light compared. Oh god. I've got the zoom slightly up. Yes, Dungeon Crawler, absolutely. I wouldn't even know which ones those were. What's the Bowie break? Or what Bowie tunes it from? Light, mid-light, default. I was happy with that, but like now I like the mid-dark a lot. I think it's because I've got it on this big monitor and anything, it's kind of too much. Dark, it's a bit too dark. And Live 9. Memories. Memories of Live 9. Opening up and just being like, what the hell? Mid-dark. I've got the zoom slightly up so you guys can see it, yeah. That's 100, but it's a bit small, isn't it? So we'll go 120. Brightness is fine. Color intensity is fine. These things kind of change, you know. We're not going to do anything with these. Audio. Now, this is probably quite useful. I'm on a Mac here, so it's going to look different if you're on Windows. I'm going to leave this as it is. And I am going to... just looking at what's here. Anyway, I can leave this as 44-100. Leave this as high quality. Buffer size is fine. That's quite low, really. That's quite low latency. Or it certainly feels like it. It's quite strange. Like I'm not even really a 500. If that had been on my old machine, it wouldn't have felt like that quick. Test tone stuff. This is fine. Link tempo feel. You can just see I've got my APC Mini. I've also got the complete control. Thank you, Tom, on long-term loan. Cool. That's good. If you got any MIDI devices, they're going to appear here. Create analysis file. This is what I wanted to talk about, because when you get those really annoying little .als files, that's how you turn it off, right? If you whenever you export a WAV or you save some kind of WAV thing in Ableton, it will create an analysis file. If you want to get rid of those, because they do eventually take up space and they're just annoying to look at. I don't even know what they do. I think they might make things work quicker. Hey, new type. Oh, sick. Good to have you on. Well, we're chatting some pretty boring preferences stuff at the moment. I don't know. Maybe I don't think it's boring. I think this stuff is like really worth knowing, actually. And like all of this I just figured out myself over time. Actually, that's not true, because I don't think that's completely unfounded, actually. But if you turn that off, if you don't want to create analysis files, those little annoying .als, I don't even know if they are that, then that's how you turn it off. in preferences, file folder. Oh yes, thank you. I did wonder. Yeah, how you doing? Pick up another patron in the house. Good question. Yeah. I mean, the way to do it would be to test it. Yeah. Is that what they actually? Maybe I think you could be right. Is it? Does anyone else know? If anyone's on, anyone else is in the chat. What do the .als files actually mean? I think Simon's hit it on the head though. So that would mean if I sent it to someone else. That's good. Glad you're well. Yeah, I thought I recognised it and was like, I know that. If that's what .als files, I can see that being useful if you're sharing samples with people. If you want the warping to be the same and just override what the stock preferences are. Temporary folder, I've never had cause to go in there actually. Bundled version of Max, that's right. Minimum decoding cache, that's fine. All this is fine. Library. Thank you, Dungeon Crawler. I will check those out. Like, so I was, and we'll do some breaks in a second. I was messing around with one of Ned Rush's favourite breaks, which is Love Dog On. Oh, are you still there? Thank you. I feel a bit embarrassed now. Like, I was just like, they're useless. Yeah. That's really helpful, Ned, because so in my live set, if I have .als's of all those, if I save it with .als with analysis files created, definitely metadata and Balaton. Maybe my sets all. I've not experienced any problem, but it can take a while to load everything sometimes. But that, Ned, as you're on in the chat, is it? That is what an analysis file is, isn't it? Here it is a .als. Well, it's good. It's very nice to see you all, I must say. I felt incredibly anxious before going live again because it'd been a while, and I'm just everyone's gonna be thinking, why hasn't he done anything for a while? So it's really nice to have you guys on. Thanks very much. Yes, thank you. Thanks for your support all the time. Nick, hope you're well. Yeah, okay, analysis files. We've unpacked those. So just to wrap up, what analysis files contain all the metadata for clips, tempo, length, warping, etc. Also means they'll load quicker and preview quicker. Very important for live shows, so your files load faster. I'm just doing this if I do an edit of it, that people know what we're talking about. Yeah, Simon, I've missed them as well, man. Yeah, I've been music really puts you through the mill sometimes? Everyone here will relate to this bit, that when you're not making it, you feel bad, and when you're making it and it's going badly, you feel just as bad. But like this whole transition on like to a new machine and stuff, I was like, I feel right. This is a whole new setup, whole new way of doing things. I need to I need to ease myself into it, and work has been mental too. I should add that, but yeah, I've missed doing them. I have missed doing them. I've still been making music. We're still, you know, I've got like 70 splurges that we can all listen back to on stream, and pick the best ones to work on, which is what I'll do. All right. Plugins, I just have all these. These are my like defaults here. That's fine. Record, warp, launch. This is probably interesting. I'm going to set the file type to WAV. Bit depth 24 is fine. Counting 1 bar, I like that. Exclusive arm solo, that's fine. Clip update rate is fine. Record session automation in armed tracks, yes. Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I actually like, sometimes I'm just like, it's easier to just do it every day. It's easier to do it every day than it is to take a break from it sometimes, because the energy required to get momentum back is actually more than it is to sustain it. You know, I think we have spoken about this before on stream, about like momentum as much as I think you've probably given a quote on that, Simon, maybe something about that. It's just like momentum's, it's just easier to roll along than it is to, you know, it's a boulder's easier to, once it's moving, it's harder to stop than it is to start again, or vice versa. Long warp, short samples, auto. I'm going to leave that as it is. Auto warp long samples. No, I don't like that when it does that. Yes, it really is. Inertia is, and you know, with the live streaming thing, I have the whole thing thrown into it as well. Of like, oh, people watch these, and I kind of feel like, I want to perform in that way. I want to do the streams because I like, you know, I want to serve my audience. For what? Yeah, that sounds quite corporate, but leave this. Draw mode of pitch. I'm going a bit blind with preferences now. License, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to take a toot at my vape. Cheers, Simon. Good to see you too, man. One thing I need to sort out is the gate on my microphone, because it's picking that up quite a lot. Sorry, you're getting like vape noise. Yeah, so I think that's everything I have to say on my preferences and how I want things being set up. Maybe the places is another thing worth mentioning, where you can add folders. And Ned, if you're still on, you have Pride of Place as one of my places here. DJ Parasite, how are we doing? Yeah, sorry it's been a while. March has really kicked my arse. Yeah, the dog on break. This is one of your favourites, Duncan. Ned, sorry. Doxing you. Okay. Get rid of this. This was quite fun. So this is sampled from YouTube. I could probably talk you through the processing. Oh, I didn't do any actually. But it doesn't have many like double hits on the snares, like ghost snares. So, and I really like my breaks having those. It's got a lot of kick drums, doom 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 doom, like that kind of thing. I also did the Scorpio break, which is from, I can't remember the name of the artist. But that was quite good, and I've got kind of all the processing I did on here. And this was just, I like to do these things to keep my chops up, really. No pun intended. So yeah, I just took this from YouTube. I took the and I did the same with the dog on break, and sample it and using my loopback. I've got loopback going in as an input, and then I can just record whatever's in my browser. Thank you, Nick. Yeah. Yeah, but like, I'd like to do, like, maybe slightly less, but more informative and a bit more. I don't know. I say these things, and I'm like, actually, when I'm on and just doing it, it's probably better. Like the more I plan, and there's something about the in the moment, isn't there? You just can't get. So Scorpio break. This is a pretty cool one. Got some bongos in it as well. Nice. Bongos and tambourine. Again, I just took this all from YouTube, and I'll take you through the processing actually. Like in hindsight, I might have gone a bit heavy-handed with the boost, with the treble boost. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, you don't want to. I think the main thing is like I'd like to just bump the quality slightly. So like, I'm really feeling having my head in this small space here, because I kind of like the idea. I don't like the idea of disappearing too much, and this seems like a good place I could exist on the screen. The microphone, was desperately wanted to improve the audio quality, because that like lav mic was just, it was mainly the fact the gating, it really picked up, like if I had the heater on or something, it really picked up the noise, and it just kept like I thought it was messing with immersion, for the viewer. And now that I'm streaming on the same machine, Ableton should look a lot more crisp. So yeah, I took the Scorpio break, and I've just run it through I'll turn off the processing so we can hear it before. I mean, it's okay, isn't it? If anything, I've probably scooped it a bit too much here. I probably don't need this boost as well. But that's what I went with in the moment. And of course, when you apply repitch, if you want to retain the repitch when you're chopping it to a sampler or something, then you need to print it. Did some warping. Do you think? Should we try that now? Let's try that now. How's the gate? It picks up my vape, which is slightly annoying. But the gate settings are quite hard to get. Oh, okay. Sorry. Just a moment. Ableton. Filters. Put one on. Free band equalizer. Yep. You guys can't see this, but so all the OBS, I suspect I can add other plugins into this, but this is the best I have. If I take the low down a bit. Maybe I've had to drop it down about 6 or something like that. Is that any better? I literally have 3 band EQ to work with. What are we saying on that? No, Jumanji, I haven't. That sounds very interesting. Any chance you ping it on Insta? Okay, yeah, Scorpio Break's pretty cool. No, I know I did this at 165, so I need to just... Yeah, and then I also did these other like Sully-esque kind of bits on it. That sounds quite cool, actually. We'll have a jam with that. So the Sully does this cool. He uses this effect all the time in his music, where it's a car plus strong synthesis effect, where you get a delay with a very short time, and quite a high feedback, and it synthesizes a tone, and it's the effect. He gets that effect in 5s. And I literally have the break chopped up hit by hit. I'll turn it off. I've also got some filtering on here. We'll turn off. I have a very short envelope on the break, like Decay's 600 sustain. Down at minus infinity. And it gives us a very tight sound. You'll hear it on. Let's go again. I live for that kind of thing. Okay, it's a bit too short that you can hear it. You know, you've got some really staccato. But that works really well with the car plus strong effect. With this delay, you can actually tune it using the delay time. And you can get discernible tones out of it. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. And when you add the filter on as well, you can get almost like these pipe tones. And a filter on here too. Might just jam something now. roll with that, shall we? really like this little bass device, little Max Filler device. Pretty cool. Cool. Turn the filter envelope off. Turn the sub up. Trying to sort the gate out on my mic. It's just a bit lively. I think that's better. I don't want it to pick up my keyboard clicks. Let's have some pad of... let's not do that, actually. So I don't have any of my, like, all the presets that I use for, like, bass sounds, or the Jungle Warfare, the cool ones, like, Dread Bass and stuff like that. Picks up the vape quite well. How are we doing for time? I think we'll just jam this thing out and then we'll... Vocal ad-lib samples, these are cool. So we're in F. Should we try something in C? That would work as well. Quite like just putting these in here and then don't want warp on. And yeah. I could just play these in. Let's maybe have them. These off. Like. Huh. Too loud. No. We got that one. I quite like just like clipping them so they'll act through a delay. They're all quite like, I want something like diva-ish. These are all just a bit lackluster, aren't they? Got anything in F? That's what we're in, F minor. That'll be loud. Just setting this up so I can have a little jam of it. And grouping them. Great, cool, we've got enough there. warping this. I'd start again, start that jam again. What else we got? I just want to see. Yes, okay. Okay. Well, there we go. I think that will do it for this evening. We have gone through some useful stuff, I hope, for setting up my kind of default template and giving you an insight into how I go about doing something like that, and how some of the default presets we've created, and just a bit of an overview of things. So I feel in a bit of a better place now. I'm glad I've done all that stuff, and yeah, and we did make some music too. So let's save this as. Yeah, let's call it that. Play. Goes in my splurges, and then I export it. I think that was a pretty nice little splurge with a couple of the breaks that I have chopped recently. Scorpio break. It's Dennis someone and love the doggone break. I think I kind of started to draw out some interesting bits towards the ends, particularly with these like with the what are you doing? Stop that. Really cool. With like the kind of fives effect for a massive reverb kind of delay, diffused delay type effect. That was really cool. Some nice little jams. I'm going to export that, and I will call it an evening there, folks. Thanks very much for everyone that checked in on the chat. If you like what I'm doing, you want to support me, you can subscribe to the channel. You can check out all my music in the links below. There's a Patreon where I post as regularly as possible, kind of free downloads, template sets, cool little preset devices, a lot of which I no longer have on this machine, so I might have to download my own stuff. But yeah, you can get that all on my Patreon. And the breaks as you've heard in this stream, so I'll post those on there at some point. Yeah, cool. I'm going to call it a night now, so I think that went reasonably well for my first stream on Ajar-san. You still there? Nice one. I think that went reasonably well for my first stream on a new machine. Thanks everyone for commenting and give me a right buzz. Actually, it's good to see you all again, and I'll be back on anon. Cheers, Ned. Glad you're still here, man. Thanks for staying the course. All right, I'll